Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Brand new episode of the GOWEN Racing podcast here, following Chicago Street Course weekend. Just wrapped up probably about 3-4 hours ago, and it was certainly an interesting weekend to say the least. I've got Mr. Jay Cook here with me. He's, I guess, starting to build a bit of a roster of blending 3D blending your Blender 3D models. How is your whole modeling career going?
I don't know if I would call it that. It's pretty rough, but it's fun. I really hope that I can pull off the ideas that I have, because I think you and I both have talked about what I want to do. Like we both have said we want that, and I know I've had the idea for a couple of years. So it would be a pretty cool thing. Like, I don't know, I'm trying to be hush about it, but I just kind of want to keep it like if I can do it, I want it to be a surprise. But it would be cool things for stream for sure, for both of our streams, if I can get it done the way I want to get it done. So I've been working on it, learning things. We'll see where it goes.
Well, there you have it. Hopefully Jay's modeling career continues to take off, and we'll check back in on that.
I am losing weight, so I'm gonna be walking down the runway any minute now.
He's got 2 modeling careers on the way. We had NASCAR this weekend, Jay, as we do every weekend. And, you know what? We also had F1.
We did, and IndyCar.
I didn't watch IndyCar, but I did see what happened there. Scott Dixon passed Pillow after he went off track and won the race. But, yeah, Chicago. Shall we talk about that? That was a heck of a race, I thought.
I believe that we should focus this week on the happenings of the NBA offseason instead.
Is their season over?
Yes.
Okay. Shout out. Jeff Gordon didn't win the title there in the NBA, so I don't care. But that was a heck of a race, in my opinion.
It was.
I thought it was a good race, and it was dry. I thought it would take rain to make a road course interesting in next gen, but I think it's just the unpredictability and the difficulty of that track that just made it great.
Yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see how Sonoma and Watkins Glen
Sonoma's gonna suck
later in the year.
Later in the year, I mean a week from now.
Well, okay, I said Sonoma and then Watkins Glen.
Oh no, you're right.
But I almost want to say that it feels like the car is better at road courses than previous, because we've now gone through COTA, Mexico, and Chicago. And there's not another one I'm forgetting, is there? Just those 3 so far, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we've gone through 3 road course races, and they've all 3 been pretty good, but I don't know. It's hard to say. I think it would be hard for me to say that the cars have gotten better on road courses, because 2 of those 3, one is a street course, the other was a completely new course, and then COTA was a kind of a new course. It was a new version of the road course. So all 3 of those races were really good, but they were good for their own reasons. I will say it did seem like at Chicago they could make passes. Like Bubba, I think at different points in the race, he had moved his way through the field. Denny obviously moved his way through the field. SVG moved his way through the field a couple of times, which he didn't ever go to the back of the field, but still he was able to make his way from around 10th or somewhere around there all the way back up to the lead again a couple of times. So it seemed like there was a lot of passing ability, but I kind of agree with you. I think that was more so the track than anything. And it almost kind of seemed like as well, I don't know if I was getting the vibe from the broadcast or maybe it was just me reading too much into it, but it almost felt like they were kind of complaining that the track was so tricky. And it almost made it almost kind of sounded to me like Junior was complaining that the track was so hard to see and so hard to drive, and that there wasn't much runoff and there's no room for error and stuff. And the whole time I'm like, those are good things. The track should be tricky and hard and not leave you much room for error. And if you make a mistake, you have to pay for it. And like, I don't know. I personally think the track is fine. I like the challenges it provides.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was fun to watch. I mean, yeah, no room for error, which is, very different for NASCAR, and they only do this one time a year. I don't know. I think the challenge it presents was great, and
only one time a year too. By the way, like
yeah,
I think one
maybe 2
one
going
forward
forward
a year. I don't know about 2. I think 1 street course a year is enough.
Well, I
Personally.
mean, you heard what Hamlin said. I don't know, maybe did you?
I don't think I did.
He said so. From it looks like Chicagoland's coming back, but it's not replacing the street course.
Really?
Yeah. So he said
I
it
figured there would
looks
be
like
no
we're gonna
way.
have both.
There's no way NASCAR would go to that market twice. I mean, I guess they do go to other markets twice, like Bristol and stuff. But I'm not going to complain because I tweeted earlier. I was like, Chicago street course is fun. Chicagoland could be fun with a next gen car. I would like to see NASCAR do like a switch every other year. But if they're willing to go to both of them twice in the same year, then that's good too. I never thought the NASCAR would consider that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't either, but I mean, I'm not against it. So I would love to have
Well, if they
both.
if they want to do that and then add on the San Diego street course, I mean, why not?
Why not?
You know, fuck it.
I'm down with it.
I think realistically at this point, as much as most of the tracks that have 2 dates left on it at this point, as much as I want to see most of those tracks get raced on twice, I would much rather have a complete like 36 race variation schedule. That's a bad way to put it, but I would rather have 36 different races on the schedule if it means going to new markets and things versus going to Bristol twice or Martinsville twice or whatever, especially with the way those tracks race with the current car. But I don't know. I don't know if NASCAR is ever willing to do that. I don't think SMI would be willing to do that because most of the 2 date tracks are SMI tracks and they have that money. They're not going to want to give it up. But it would be cool to get a lot more variation in the schedule and get rid of some of those 2 times a year at the same track.
I agree. And 2 street courses, but then I mean, what? Like, do they take away a road course?
They might. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Like my ideal schedule, there's 7 road courses, so there's obviously room to add 1 more without removing any. But it wouldn't surprise me if NASCAR did take away a road course. I don't know what one they would take away. I don't think they would take away Sonoma, even though they're in the same state if they went with San Diego. But I'd maybe Mexico if they don't go back. I guess that's the easiest one to point out. I don't know. Maybe they go with 7 instead of 6, which again I think 7 is the ideal amount to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Looking back just at the Chicago race, obviously SVG popping off again, kind of popped off all weekend. Couldn't really stop the guy. He's just on a different level.
I will say McDowell had something for him
He
for
did.
quite a while.
I'm not convinced he had something for him over the course of a really long run, though.
There's only one way to find out, and unfortunately we didn't get to find that out. But you're probably right. Over the long run, I'm sure SVG probably would have ran away with the thing no matter what. Which we never really got that much of a long run, to be honest. Every time we'd get close to a 10-lap run, there was a yellow or a stage end or whatever. I don't know if they had more than a 12 or 13 lap run at one point, at one time.
No, absolutely not. It was, we never really got to see something really pan out over the course of a long run like we did in like Mexico, where it just felt like it just went on and on. Ty Gibbs kind of showed up.
The entire last stage was green.
Yeah, I think it was. Pretty sure it was. I think it was green the entire race or stage. But I mean, we looked early on in that race. I mean, I didn't know what to expect because like kept hearing it was going to rain. And the entire race, I'm like checking the race weather Twitter account because I'm like, where's that rain? I kid you not, from the start, the race went green. It said 25 to 30 miles out, rain's coming. It's going to hit between 2:30 to 3:30. I'm like, oh boy. And we get to the end of stage 1, rain's 25, 30 miles out. I'm like, man, this ain't moving. We get to the end of stage 2, it's 25 to 30 miles out. I'm like, okay. I'm going to guess this thing is just going to go green or without rain. So, and obviously it did. But did you see like the fog rolling in there? It looks so cool. First of all, that was cool. But I was like, oh, dang, maybe we are going to get something like right at the end of this race. But it stayed.
Like right after it ended is when it started raining.
Yeah.
Saying vortex theory.
I was really happy, though, that we finally had that race play out dry because, I mean, there's still a chance this could be the last one.
I wouldn't have minded if we got some rain, like if it went like, beginning of stage 2 it rained, or sorry, beginning of stage 3 it rained. I would have hated if we get to like 4 to go and now it starts raining. Well, then it's like, we're gonna throw a yellow, we're gonna get a wacky restart with it raining. That would kind of suck. So I'm glad that once we got to the point of under 10 to go, it did not rain. That would have kind of sucked to have the end of the race in like that. But I do agree. I'm glad that we finally got a full weekend in without rain. The Xfinity Series didn't have any problems. The Cup Series didn't have any problems. I don't know. Did they have the festival planned this time around? Or did they cancel that this year because of the issue
They
with
had
the
like
last two?
Zach Brown band.
Oh, okay. So I guess they didn't do the
I
festival
saw
again. They didn't
one
run that
post of
back
Connor
after the two
Zillage in the
failures.
crowd.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. That's right.
Well, it succeeded last year.
Did it? I thought it rained last year too.
No, last year was successful.
Okay.
It was big thing last year.
Well, anyways, I think the event overall, aside from the one really weird yellow with the ambulance needing to get across the track, I think overall the infrastructure around the race itself, the event, the fan access, the like access for the teams to easily get to the track, everything about it is really cool. It's really unique, and it's something that I would like to stick around. I think the track is really good. Like, I'll be honest, I thought going into it, the track was going to be terrible that first year. Instantly proven wrong. And 3 years in, I still think that it's a really good racy track. I don't know. I hope that it stays around. I think that, all I've seen on Twitter is from people in the industry, from fans of talking about is like, well, no, I was going to say I've seen good things.
I've seen the other side.
I haven't seen much of the other side, but I've seen mainly good things about people being like, it's super easy to get here from like an industry perspective. It's super easy for me to just hop on a train and I get off at an exit and I'm at the track, and it's just really easy to get to. And obviously the vibes of being at a downtown race event are much different than being at a track in the middle of buttfuck Alabama nowhere. So like, I don't know. I think that the whole event overall is really cool, and it's something that needs to stick around. And they got a good track with it. If the city's willing to keep going with it, if NASCAR's willing to go with it, I think they need to keep going with this race. And then eventually, if things start to go bad, then you pull out. Then obviously, it's not a track you have put in the ground that is built there. It's owned by somebody who wants to keep making money, and now you're stuck with it. It's a thing that it's temporary, and when the two sides start to feel not good about it, then you can just leave, and no harm, no foul.
When it doesn't feel good, pull out.
Well, maybe.
I want to see it on the schedule. I saw like a lot of people just like kind of saying like they're over it. It's run its course, and I'm like, what do you mean? There's great.
Some things that like people are just going to be upset about and bitch about no matter what, right? Like the yellow for the ambulance thing. I saw people being like, get rid of this event. This is a joke. This is a farce. Yeah. It's like, it is a closed off street course, and there was a medical emergency. What exactly do you expect them to do? Like, the entirety of the street course is closed. The only access in and out of it might be a fan bridge or two, if that. Like, once you're in and once a vehicle is in, you're not getting out. So it's one of those unique moments where it sucks that the race had to be affected by it, but somebody had to be taken to the hospital, and there's no way for them to get out. Like, that had to happen. There was no way around it. It's just it's just a side effect of that event. And then you can be like, well, we shouldn't have that event then. Well, okay, you can feel that way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that should be true.
One caution that was talked about more than the ambulance one.
The Harrison Burton, man, I'm a year behind. The Josh Berry caution.
No, the Cody Ware.
Okay, yeah, I guess that one too. Yeah.
What do you mean? That was the talking point of the race. Now, I just sent you a tweet, so while I go on my little bit, look at the tweet I just sent you. This is from the track side of Cody Ware barreling it off here into the barrier. So that was obviously controversial because Cody Ware, I guess it was a left front brake failure. I think it said, and he goes barreling off into the tire barrier. I mean, completely destroys the car. It was a massive impact. And this is coming to the white flag. NASCAR doesn't throw any caution. They wait until SVG crosses the line.
Jeez.
The SVG crosses the line, then they throw the caution and end the race. Of course, controversial move for the fans. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of shades of the Charlotte Roval in Xfinity last year. Where like the leader is coming up, to the white flag. We have this car in the barrier in both occasions, and NASCAR is waiting. Obviously, we saw what the Roval was. They threw it a foot before Kligerman hit the line. I feel like I know what they said. They were like, "Oh, we're trying to give them time to back out," which is fair, but I don't believe them. I think they were trying to avoid doing what they did to Kligerman last year. Like SVG had one corner to go before he came around to the white when we saw the 51, maybe 2 corners.
1 or 2.
It was no more than 2.
I don't fully remember when they showed it at this point, but it was definitely no more than 2.
Should have been a caution. It should have been overtime. But I'm biased as a fan of his.
With this one, because there is the bias of me being an SVG fan, but also at the same time, I don't know if, like, I guess per the rule book and by the way that NASCAR has their stuff mandated, that should have been a yellow. It should have been overtime, right? But I just don't think that I would have wanted overtime in this situation, because I mean, a few minutes after SVG finished his burnout, it started raining. Rain would have then affected overtime. You could get the stupidity that happens on a NASCAR restart at a road course in overtime, which of course, again, that's probably my SVG fan bias there. I don't want him to lose the race, right? But I think it's okay that NASCAR tried to wait. I do.
Obviously, they didn't see the scale of his impact, right?
Yeah, they did say that. They didn't see the scale of his impact. You're not going to have time to, in 2 corners, we'll say he had 2 corners left. You're not going to have time in 2 corners to see that impact and be like, okay, let's look at it and see how big this is. Like, that's not something you're going to judge anyways. You're not going to judge how hard a car hits on whether you throw a yellow or not. I will give them credit for not having a quick trigger finger on that yellow specifically and not throwing the yellow in case he was able to get it out of the barrier. It sucks that it then resulted in a non-green finish, but I think it was the right call. I don't think that you want to be quick and hasty to throw a yellow, because you run into situations like we have complained about before where NASCAR throws the yellow and then it wasn't needed, and then you're like, well, what the fuck? Why was that a yellow? Now we have overtime for no reason. And again, when you only have 1 or 2 corners left like he did, you don't have time to sit there and try and make that decision. You either got to throw it or just commit to not throwing it, and they committed to not throwing it, and I have to give them credit for that one. The one that I will not give them credit for is Josh Berry's spin.
Oh,
that
geez.
one was really dumb.
They waited forever, and like, bro's front end's completely killed. It's obvious he's not going anywhere.
And I get that in that situation, it's the same thing, right? They want to give him a chance to get turned around and get moving. If I am NASCAR race control in that situation, and all these factors that I'm about to mention are in my head, you throw a yellow there. He's in a blind corner. He's on the inside. His car is destroyed. We know that spotters can't really see through there because they have the worst vantage points possible for this race. All those things combined, there's no reason to try and not throw the caution there. If driver safety is first and foremost in your mind, you throw that caution 5 seconds after you see that he can't move. You throw that caution just 5 seconds later, so that way nobody comes in there too wide and they barrel into him or whatever. Even if he can get moving again, slow everybody down to give him the opportunity to get moving again. And it's just why they allowed him to sit there for like a minute in harm's way is really stupid.
It was. I mean, they let all cars pass the pit lane and gave them a chance to pit under green before they threw the caution.
Yeah.
So they left it for a while.
Also part of their reasoning, but that doesn't mean it's a good thing, right? Like, if you, at that point, if you happen to get lucky going by the pit lane and you catch a lucky break because you get to pit before yellow comes out, then congratulations. We don't need to give everybody a chance to pit. That was also kind of silly.
I don't mind them doing that when it's not like a big hazard on the track,
Yeah, or that, yeah.
But when it
Like
was
if
a
somebody's
car
off
that
stuck in a
had,
sand trap,
yeah, like, but it
it's
was a
not
car
as
that
big of a deal.
crashed
But
head on into the wall, and he's in a really awkward spot. And I'm like, no, that needs to
yeah,
be, cracked down caution
again, where
immediately.
spotters can't see, like they talked about that specific section a lot of times where spotters cannot see very well there, and that kind of goes back to my point that Bubba made after Mexico a couple of weeks ago, where he was like, the spotters at these road courses, we need to just not even have them with how bad of vantage points they're getting. That like I just kind of blew that comment off, and then I think in the pre-race or under the pace laps, they had Mamba doing a report, and he was standing on one of the spotter stands, and it was in the section between turn 1 and turn 6. So you can obviously, as a spotter, you can see turn 1, and then they go to turn 2 and they're gone. You turn around, you can see them at turn 6 again. It's like, well, what is that going to do? You can see them for one turn and then turn around and see them for another one, but are they getting any spotting over on the other side of the track? Or, and then on the other side over towards turns 11 and 10 and all that stuff where it gets really tight and narrow. I don't know if they can see over, I don't know if there's any spotters that can see over there either. So, can we do a little bit better with the spotters, NASCAR?
I listen to Door Bumper Clear a lot now. Since they fired Brett Griffin, and the show's actually bearable to listen to. And yeah, they were talking a lot about like that was going to be an issue. And I think they moved some spotting stands or whatever to try and make it easier. But apparently last year they had some spotters in hotel rooms trying to like spot the race.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I wonder if that was a thing that NASCAR allowed and mandated, or if some teams just kind of snuck around that and the NASCAR caught on and was like, fuck you, you're not doing that again.
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, certainly I think race control was unfortunately the highlight of the race, or the talking point of the race for most people, I should say, because actually I thought the racing outshined everything else. I thought the racing was good, but yeah, it's been a while since we've had a really poor race controlled race.
Yeah, so obviously we had the big drama at the beginning of the season, and that was when
are we ending under caution or are we racing back?
Yeah, and
I kind of gave up after that.
Talked about it since. Yeah, no. The consistency is, well, it's one thing. As I've said before, the only consistent thing about NASCAR is their inconsistency. And it's just, I had a point that I was going to mention. Oh, it's wild to see how we've gone, or at least how we can go from some weeks where NASCAR, you think of like the All-Star race with Blaney and some of these other cautions we've had where a car will touch the wall or whatever, and NASCAR is like, ooh, that's our opportunity for a caution. We're throwing it instantly. And then you get some weeks like this where it's just like, are they awake? Did they all fall asleep?
Yeah.
Hello, race control, do you exist? So it is really interesting to see the inconsistencies in the ability to call cautions. And you really do get the feeling sometimes of NASCAR knows when they want a yellow, and the second they get the slightest excuse to call one at some of these races, they will. And when you get to a race like this at Chicago, where they don't feel the need to throw yellows, you can see when the hesitation comes in and how they would actually act at other tracks if they weren't desperate to get excitement and get more yellows at these ovals where things get strung out. I think if they weren't desperate for yellows and desperate for more, for more racing, for more like side-by-side racing and moments of wrecking and whatever, we wouldn't get those super quick yellows at the ovals. They would get the same opportunity at the ovals that they do at the road courses, where they give them a second to see if they can get it figured out. And if they can't, we get a yellow.
Yeah. Thinking about another yellow. Actually, do I have anything more to say about race control? Not really. One more thing though, man. All these NASCAR fans, man, they hate overtime. They always talk about how overtime needs to be gone, but as soon as they lose a chance at overtime, as soon as they lose the overtime they thought they were getting, they're like, well, why ain't we got this overtime? And I'm like, geez, like, come on now.
It's also as inconsistent and dumb as NASCAR can be. NASCAR fans have the same hypocrisy, the same inconsistency, the same stupidity that they do. And maybe it's because, you get the loud majority no matter what decision is made, right? So when there's no overtime, you get one side yelling about it. When there is overtime, you get the other side yelling about it. So it may not be the same people yelling either way, but the loud majority is there no matter, or the loud minority no matter what is there. And it's just, you're never going to make everybody happy. You never, ever, ever will. And it makes it worse when NASCAR is inconsistent about following their rules. Then it's also going to create inconsistency with fans getting upset at them for when they do and don't follow their own rule book. And today was another one of those situations.
Carson Hocevar, how about him? My man cleaned some boys out today.
I noticed, and I think there was apparently another team had mentioned it too. I think it may have been Austin Dillon team or somebody else's team had noticed, like, he was wiggling and getting loose and all this kind of stuff on braking, and I think he was just overdriving his car really hard, and then obviously overdrives it a little bit too hard on lap 4 of 75, I think it was, and
it's a long race, but
turn 10, and well, the entire field comes piling in.
I mean, they chose, probably the second worst, if not the worst spot on the track to do that.
Yeah.
Completely kills his car and spins across the front of the 3, and it's a high speed spot too, because you're coming out of the that little, I don't know what they go around, but that sweeper.
As tight of a corner as it is, you're still going like pretty quick.
You're moving. So everyone's cooking in there, like, the field's got no time to stop for this. And sure enough, cars come piling in, and because I saw they were on an onboard with somebody, and you could just see it from the rear camera. I'm like, oh, Hocevar's turned around, and then they cut the full lens of what's happening, and then there's already like 7 cars piled in. I'm like, what in the world happened? And then obviously saw the replay. He just completely wrecked himself, and obviously Will Brown unfortunately in it.
Did you happen to see his in-car view from it?
No.
So it's exactly, it goes back to the spotter conversation we were just talking about, because the wreck has obviously been going on for a decent while. By the time he gets there, he's flying through turn 10. He comes around turn 10, and then you see the wreck happening, and he's already slowing down for the wreck before his spotter's like, oh, they're wrecking, slow down, stop. Like, he's already barreling off into it before his spotter can even notice that they're crashing, and he's barreling into a wreck. It's just...
Yeah.
Again, I think that's why so many got involved, is because they just couldn't see. They didn't know it was happening. Driver couldn't see, spotter couldn't see until he came around the corner, and it was too late.
A complete mess. Several cars done for the day out of that one, and then it cleaned up fairly well. I mean, it was your typical.
Kind of sucks.
Go on.
That we had both supercar drivers that came over this weekend. They both got wrecked really early in their races.
Yeah, it was that other guy, Perkins.
Jack Perkins, yeah.
Jack Perkins.
He got cleaned out by
someone. I forget who
it was now. But they cleaned
probably
him out.
a Joe Gibbs car.
That.
Oh no, Sammy. I think it might have been Sammy Smith.
That's the name I was gonna say, but I wasn't sure, so I held off on it. But
usually, a lot of cars spin off his front bumper. So I would say probably him.
I believe it was Sammy Smith, but I'm not 100% sure, so I wasn't going to call him out. But
let's just call him out just in general.
Okay.
But not a good showing for the two supercar guys that are still supercars guys. Of course, the old supercars guy, Shane Van Gisbergen, getting the win again. But just thinking about rest of the race, there was some strategies kind of playing out a little bit. There's 2 stoppers versus 1 stoppers. Then all of a sudden we get that one. I think it was the ambulance caution that was the one where Reddick.
You're right. It was Sammy Smith, by the way.
Okay. Was it the ambulance caution or was it a different caution where Reddick comes into the pits? And like Reddick pitted and it completely changed. Okay.
Because I believe that was the last caution of the race.
Man, they're lucky. SVG is lucky NASCAR didn't throw that caution earlier, because the 45 was cooking.
Yeah.
He would have probably won that race if they went to overtime. So, and
the
also
guys on new tires, which it was nice.
They were moving.
The guys on new tires were actually able to do something with those new tires.
I agree. So, and as well, they went to overtime, and you also had Ty Gibbs right there, who would be desperate to get a win as well. So he's really solid on the road courses. You got to give him credit there. You put him on an oval, he'll run 15th. But he's at, I think they said today was his 106th start. So that win's got to be right around the corner, unfortunately. Because you look at the stat. Chase Elliott won on his 99th race. Larson was like his 100th, and
Oh,
a lot of the guys a lot of the young talent that like materializes into a proper successful like cup driver, they always seem to figure it out right about 100. You know.
yeah. Usually by year 3, 3.5,
Yeah.
sometimes into year 4 is when they start figuring it out. Blaney was that way. Chase Elliott was that way. I think it took him 3 seasons to win,
Yes, it
right?
did.
Something
Yeah.
like that. Christopher Bell was that way. So it usually takes about 3 years in the Cup Series, and especially now with the next gen car too, moving from the Xfinity car to the next gen car, the differences are so much more massive that it's going to take more time too. But we were both wrong. It was not the caution for the ambulance. It was the one after that where Cindric stopped on track because they all decided to go
Oh,
6 wide into
geez,
turn
that
1,
restart.
and yeah, that was bad.
That was old
That was the
fashioned.
typical.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I mean, they're all bulldozing in there. Cindric, I don't know
Yeah.
what Cindric thought he was doing. I
don't know what
mean,
he thought he was doing either.
if it was a drag strip, bro was winning. But man, there was a corner. I mean, he's cooking in there.
I
Who
think
did
it
he
was
clean
someone else
out?
that cooked in there with him too.
Yeah, Chastain got knocked into the wall. I thought someone else got turned around.
Chastain got hit because Logano got hit into him.
Yeah, and
Larson was
Chastain thought
also
Logano
hit.
wrecked him, and then he got him
So
back.
then Chastain went and wrecked Logano.
And I'm like, what an idiot! Is there no spotter in turn 1 or?
No, they're right there in turn 1.
Okay, so they have that one team has no excuse to be like, yeah, 22 wrecked you. Like, come on
no,
now.
it was also Prix. Prix also barreled off in there as well.
Okay.
Not as bad as Cindric did, but Prix also barreled off in there, and I would have to believe that's why Cindric barreled off, because he probably followed the 60. He followed him even worse. Yeah,
And
he got sent in there, and Larson and Chastain and Logano all had contact, and Cindric broke his toe link, and I think that was the moment. Was that the moment where Stenhouse killed his car, or was his car already dead before that?
I can't remember. I think that was before. I think.
Oh yeah, because
No.
his incident didn't result in a yellow. He pulled off track.
It was
That's
after.
what it was.
I'm pretty sure it was after.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
then he pulled off track because it was right towards the end. Then he had that whole mess, and shortly after that setup with Bubba and Bowman, who always seem to find each other on road courses for whatever reason. Think back to the Charlotte Roval in like 2018 and Chicago last year and now this year. And they were having, now my opinions changed since I first saw everything go down live, because I like looked at some replays and I'm like, okay, that was just kind of racing. I thought they were racing super hard on each other. And it was fantastic because they were both swapping back and forth, beating and banging, and I was like, this is awesome. And then
Yeah, that was really fun.
48 ends up turning him around, but then I looked at the replay and I'm like, well, the 23 kind of came across his nose. I don't know. I felt like now I really don't blame either of them. Kind of felt like that was just kind of hard racing that just went wrong there at the end. I don't know. You're a
Yeah,
Bubba
I
Wallace
don't know
fan.
that
You might think differently.
I don't know that Bubba came across his nose, but I know that Bowman was definitely kind of pinballing off the wall a bit. So one of the two were both happened for sure. I don't think Bowman dumped him on purpose at all. It certainly seemed like in the moment he did.
Yeah, I thought he
but
just straight up hooked him at first.
no matter what, at the very least, Bubba was racing for his life there. He was racing super aggressively, and if you believe what Bowman says, he was like, the $1 million was not on my mind. At that point, I was just worried about a good finish. I think based on the way that Bubba was driving, the $1 million was definitely on his mind, and so he was racing super hard, and that was really fun.
It was.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch that. I'm sure it was not fun to be.
That was good NASCAR
in Bowman's
racing.
seat for that, but yeah, that was the physical, the physical, entertaining NASCAR road course racing that we know and love, and it unfortunately it did end in a wreck. But I think that Bubba was not that pissed about it. It seemed like
I just saw he
it seemed
didn't
like
seem
he
to be.
was. At first, it seemed like he was because he immediately left the pit road. But then I saw another video of them later where they were having a friendly chat and he was laughing somewhere in the garage area. So I don't think he was that pissed about it. But in the moment, maybe he was. But then I think he got over it and maybe watched a couple of replays and was like, maybe I fucked myself. So whatever, it's all good. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think Bowman did anything that wrong there. I think, like you said, it was just hard racing.
Didn't help him in the playoffs situation, that's for sure.
No, The unfortunate thing is this looked like it was going to be the 1 year for Bubba where he was going to have a good gap to the playoffs, and the last like month, that gap that was like, I don't know, 70, 80 points, whatever it was, is now like nothing.
2. It's 2 points now.
It's 2. Jesus.
He's the last one in over Prix. And Alex Bowman as well is only now 39 above. Busher had a terrible day.
He's had a really rough slide.
Busher 35 points above. Priest is back by 2. Allmendinger 43. Kyle Busch is kind of coming back actually after a great race. He's 46
Eric Jones
back.
Is above John Hunter in the points now.
And Ty Gibbs.
That's surprising.
He's 50 back.
I believe that Ty Gibbs at one point, I believe for the first like month or so of the season, we were mocking him for being in the 30s in points. So he's definitely ramped it up a little bit.
The whole team. They talk about, I keep hearing like, who?
Daniel Suarez. Sorry.
Eric Jones, 50 points back. The media keep telling you, oh, they can't make up 50 points now. At this point, you got to win. I'm like, no. 50 points. You can very well make up 50 points. You can make up 50 points in 2 races. We still have like 7.
Yeah. There's plenty of time left. I would say there's plenty of time for anybody in the top 25 right now.
I agree.
Mathematically, I will say there's enough time.
Realistically, I think, maybe I would say 75 points back is a stretch. That's where Hocevar's at. But I mean, John Hunter at 68 back. You go on a 7-race run, putting solid top 15s together. I think that's realistic. I think you can make up 68 points. Those guys in front of you, the guys, Bubba Wallace, Bowman, they've been on a slide. Those guys could continue like that. You could very well make up 68 points in the 7 races that we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we got 7 races.
As this bracket that we have so far has very much shown, when you add in those wild card races, there's all the opportunity for drivers
so
low on
much
points to make up points.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can just see that based on the results of these last 2 weeks of the bracket challenge. We started off with Atlanta, and then we moved on to Chicago. There is only Tyler Reddick and maybe arguably Alex Bowman left in the bracket that are like, okay, those guys can win week in and week out. And everybody else left is drivers that have moved on because their competition wrecked out. Let's be honest here. Everybody else left is there because the others wrecked themselves out. And so you look at the remaining schedule until the playoffs. We got Sonoma next week. We got Watkins Glen, so 2 more road courses. We got Daytona left as well. There's plenty of opportunity over the next
3 wild cards.
7 or 8 races. There's 3 big wild cards in there for you to gain big points opportunities. And not only that, you have opportunities at every other track too, because, it's not a guarantee at any of these races that anybody is going to finish. So there's plenty of opportunity for anybody that's within a certain point margin right now to make those points up.
It's gonna be super interesting to watch. Daniel Suarez could go out and win Sonoma. You never know.
Yeah, that too. I got that as well. Go out and get a win, and the points don't matter anymore.
Speaking of the bracket challenge, I didn't find myself. Maybe it's just because none of my drivers are in it, but I didn't find myself having any care in the world about it today. Nor did I pay attention to it unless they were actually putting it in our face, which was like 1 time, 2 times throughout the entire day. It felt like they properly mentioned it.
I think there's a big reason for that. There's a big couple of reasons for that. Number one, like you said, none of your drivers were in it. A lot of people didn't have their drivers in it anymore because there was so many upsets last week. There was just way too many upsets to keep it interesting. It feels like that as soon as all those upsets happened, TNT, NASCAR, whoever, they didn't feel the need to promote it anymore. I swear I didn't see like last week. Every tweet I looked at, it was like the races were being called the in-season challenge, and like every tweet mentioned it. I don't know if there was more than like 3 that mentioned it today from NASCAR.
Elliot's out now too,
or anybody else. Yeah,
you took the biggest name in the sport out. I mean, Reddick. You mentioned Reddick or Bowman. Those are the 2 like notables left.
Those are the only 2 names left that I can see. Not only can I see winning the bracket, but like those are the only 2 drivers left that are like the quote unquote superstars of your sport, the winners of your sport. When you're through 2 rounds and only 2 big names are left and the rest are upsets, you want some upsets, right? You want to create some drama and all that kind of stuff, but you also still want to have your big superstars being the ones to compete for that $1 million and make fans have an interest in whatever. And, it's the way they set the schedule up, man. I get them wanting to have wild cards. I get them wanting to create a situation where these races can get a little dumb and a little silly and drivers can compete and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. We're seeing the result of dumb scheduling, in my opinion, to the first 2 races with the seeds that we have left now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know who's left. I mean, I know Ty Dillon moved on. I predicted Ty Dillon would advance the first 2 rounds. I was like, he's gonna beat Hamlin in Atlanta. He's gonna go against Brad in Chicago. He's gonna wash Brad in Chicago. He did, because Kozlowski was taken out early. But I saw that coming. I don't know who he's going up against in Sonoma, but so Reddick, Dillon, Bowman's in it. I mean, I really don't care at the end of the day, to be honest. But
so the matchups next week are 32 seed Ty Dillon versus 8 seed Alex Bowman. 12 seed John Hunter Nemechek versus 20 seed Eric Jones. That could actually be kind of
that could be they run pretty similar.
Then 15 seed Ryan Prix versus 23 seed Tyler Reddick.
I'll take
Reddick.
That
one could actually still be interesting, to be honest, because Prix is a good workhorse racer. And then the real interesting, the most interesting one here, 6 seed Ty Gibbs versus 14 seed Zane Smith.
I'll take Ty Gibbs. There's not enough. There's too much.
I don't know how Zane Smith. Actually, yes, I do, because he was up against Buescher.
Yeah, all he had to do was survive.
Yeah.
There's too much midfield drivers going for the, winner of this bracket.
There's only one true winner in here, and then you could argue Bowman is a second.
And it's just like, man. And I think, actually, I can see Reddick, though, going all the way. Either. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to them.
We had Gregson Prix. That was easy for Ryan Prix. We had Hocevar Reddick. Well, Hocevar crashed out, so that was easy for Reddick. Allmendinger Gibbs. That one was actually interesting. And that one was, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if that was highlighted. I don't know if that battle was highlighted a single time.
They did mention it once, I remember, on a restart.
They just did not. They have the little colors on the left side, I guess, to indicate
that doesn't help at all, man.
Color it is. Why do they not make those colors the in-season bracket challenge colors, so you can look over and see, there's a color next to their name. I can see that they're battling each other now, and the others don't have colors, so now you know which ones are in the. Why are we not giving little subtle hints for us to look over at any time to see where the drivers are? It's really dumb that they're promoting this whole thing and they don't give you an easy way in the race to just look over and see who is battling who. It's really stupid. Anyways, who else did we have? We had Jones and Stenhouse. That one I think was interesting until Ricky killed himself. Nemechek and Chase Elliott. What happened to Chase Elliott? Did he wreck in the big stack up? What happened to Chase?
He was just kind of mid. He did have some front end damage, I heard, but
he was that bad that he got beat by John Hunter Nemechek?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. And then Bowman, Bubba, which that was interesting for half a lap till Bubba died, and then Ty Dillon, Kozlowski. And that one, obviously, Kozlowski died on lap 4. So, it's one of those things where you make the schedule like it is, and you just, I don't know. I would be much more interested to see a traditional 5-race oval schedule, maybe one road course, but over those 5 races, I want to see them race at the bread and butter of NASCAR and see who can beat who in that challenge and make it actually interesting. I don't want to have these races that we don't normally see every week to promote the sport in not in a bad light, but in a light of, hey, I'm watching this week and this is the bracket challenge, and can I expect to see this racing every week? No, you'll never see anything like Atlanta again. You'll see it next time they go there next year. Hey, I want to see Chicago street course. Have they got more street races? No, that's the one time we'll see it.
Yeah, one time.
It's, give us our actual races that we go to consistently.
Give the casuals that are tuning in an idea of what the actual sport's about.
That's what when I brought Gary to the race last week, I was like, okay, this is fantastic racing. You're getting spoiled by this being your first race. I don't want you to expect this every week because there is no other track like this. You will not see this any other week except for Atlanta.
You should have just baited him. It's like this every week. And then like he watches next, typical mile and a half. Oh, that was just a fluke. It'll be better next week. Just keep telling them that until they go back to Atlanta again.
Yeah.
What was I about to say? I don't remember. But moving on from bracket challenge, I wanted to talk about, and I hate because we haven't had to talk about this since Fox was done. Prime, so good.
Oh.
Prime knocked everything out of the park. And the same production team, of course, was working to do the TNT broadcast. You had the same commentary
Are we
booth.
sure?
Yes. You wouldn't think so.
There's no way.
You wouldn't think so. We go back to cable TV, TNT. Oh my God. I mean,
are we sure it's the same TV
it is
director?
still. I don't know about that part, but I know like it's the same
Because
NBC
if it's the same
crew.
production crew, that's not going to matter if the producers are different, because obviously the producer is the one who makes the decisions of what we see. And so if the production crew is the same, it's not going to matter if the TV director is different. I would imagine the director's probably different because different network. So that's probably where the issue lies.
Well, they should fire him.
But anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Man, what a letdown.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say.
I didn't see the broadcast last
had
week,
hype.
but I saw that there was some complaints.
It
And
wasn't
then
bad.
This week,
Last week,
like-
it wasn't bad, but it wasn't. It was like half the.
well, this
like-
week wasn't that bad either, but
No, but,
it
like-
wasn't Prime.
We're coming off of
We've
Prime
seen
that was
what
so
we can
good.
get.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, what have we done? It's not.
Yeah,
it's not bad as
It got
Fox.
spoiled.
Fox, I would take TNT any day over Fox, but I'm like, dang, like,
I don't
man.
even know what it was about Prime. I don't know what differently they did.
Something
it just felt like
it
watching
just
those
feels
races,
right.
It felt like it was a party, but like a
Yeah.
big party, like
Yeah.
like it was It felt like
We've
it was
completely
a big event
lost that now.
meant something that just had a good feeling to it. It felt good to be watching it. I don't know why. As soon as we go back to cable TV, it's like, this is a drab. This is boring. I'm watching this in black and white. There's no color to it. There's no excitement. There's no... Nothing is amped up. It's the exact same commentary booth. It's mostly the same pit reporters or the same talent mixed in with the pit reporters. It's, the same camera crew, the same production crew. But it just, I don't know, just something instantly felt off as soon as I tuned in today. And I was like, oh, this is not the same party vibe I got the last 5 weeks where everybody was amped up and excited and happy to be here and putting on a really good show. It just felt like we went back to our office job and we're bored and hated it and wanted to go home and just, I don't know. It wasn't as bad as Fox, but I don't know. I guess it's just maybe a difference between cable TV and streaming, because there was more commercials. We got a commercial during the fucking burnout of all things.
Oh yeah, that was the icing on the cake there.
Yeah,
they lost
was
me
the
after
part
that.
That really was just
that was like, I was like, okay,
that's absurd.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I'm in the like screw TNT train now.
Yeah.
And as well, like the ambulance situation.
I hate the graphics.
I don't mind the graphics actually. I think the
it
graphics
looks
are all right.
ugly.
The leaderboard is probably the worst of the graphics, but it looks better than Fox, but it looks worse than Prime. So I'd put it in the middle.
The other graphics look fine. The leaderboard, the leaderboard is what I meant to say. The leaderboard to me just looks ugly. The rest look okay, but the leaderboard is just bad.
But you get this ambulance caution, and like they're starting to roll the commercial music, and then we get the caution graphic on the screen.
And then they just
and they're like,
commercial still.
and they're like, and there's a caution. We'll be back. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, come on now. You couldn't have stayed for an extra 45 seconds to, just at least give us an idea of what's happening.
And there was another point too. I forget if it was for a yellow, if it was for the stage win, or if it was for the finish, or maybe it was
after
for
the
all
stage
three.
one when they cut before the top 10. Is that where you're going on? Oh well, they did that though.
That's not what I was gonna say, but there was a point, and it may be this stage. I just didn't pay attention to it being top 10, but it was either the stage in or a caution came out where like they did the Fox thing where they instantly went to commercial.
Yeah, it was after stage one.
Are we fucking serious?
They showed
are we for real right now?
They showed like the top 4 or 5 cross the line, and then they cut to commercial. And that was my first thought. I was like, Fox? I'm like, what? I was like, with Prime, it didn't matter. We got all those boys crossing the line, and I'm like things can happen.
Thing.
That could change that bottom part of the top 10 that we won't even have a clue because they're too eager to go get the commercial.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing between cable TV and streaming is obviously on cable TV, you're like, you sell those advertisement slots, you are chomping at the bit to get those advertisement slots out. And with streaming, it may not be that constrained by advertising. And it was just much more free flowing, I guess. And I mean, we got the segments every week of the no more commercials from this point onwards or whatever it was called. Like,
Yeah, we
they had a
lost
name
that
for it or
too.
whatever it was. We lost that. There's way more commercials overall. Just I don't know. Just so many things just immediately went bad, and I don't know. It kind of sucks to be complaining about a broadcast again because we had 5 excellent weeks where I don't know if I had a single. I mean, I think I had a few things to say that were kind of negative, but like they were small things. There's a lot I could complain about TNT, and it's disappointing to be back to that again.
Man.
Let's say NBC. Sorry,
No, you
TNT.
said TNT.
Okay.
Yeah, it's disappointing. That's a lot of frustrations from the broadcast standpoint and the camera as well. Whoever's
Yeah,
controlling the
work
camera
was
shots,
rough.
I'm like, geez, like what are we doing
Why are
here?
we going to
It
onboards
felt
every 5 seconds?
yeah. Well, I told you they did that in Atlanta. Remember?
Yeah.
I said they went on
yeah.
board with the 45. Like it felt like half the race, and then they did it again today. And I'm like, man, we love onboards, cool, but we don't want to see it this much. Like,
Yeah.
we want to see the cars and that it was getting on my nerves, and yeah, it's just everything felt more Fox again, just more bearable, way more bearable.
Yep.
Fox still sucks.
I think because the booth, I think
the
a
booth
lot of the
saved
things
it
were
was
the
what
same
I
between
was
the
my
two,
opinion.
But the booth is the booth kept it from feeling just like Fox, I think.
And like you said as well, we immediately as TNT came in, I don't know what Prime. I can't tell you what Prime does differently to
Yeah, it just
create
feels
the
different.
effect. But every race that Prime did felt big and important, and then we come to TNT and it
I think
didn't
the
feel
two
important.
biggest things.
NBC, by the way, made this race
about
feel
it-
important last year, so you can't.
That's also true.
They can
Also
do it on
true.
cable TV. It's just TNT didn't do it.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. I think the two biggest things are, I think, as much as Shannon Spake is good at her job, I think Danielle Trotta is much better at it. And so with Prime, you would get instantly hit with a theme song that was built for the NASCAR races, and you're like, okay, they're hyping us up. It's time to go. It's NASCAR time. But before that, you would have the pre-race show where they're in the crowd. There's big crowds behind them yelling and cheering, and you have the energy of Carl Edwards and Corey LaJoy, I guess, and Dale Jr. for a majority of it too. They're all on the pre-race show. They're bringing in. I actually didn't watch pre-race this week because I completely forgot that pre-race was on so early. So I have no idea. Honestly, I could be wrong. Maybe they do these things too for TNT, but it's just Prime made it feel like a party, like it was there was a big crowd there, like it was a big event, and you got that vibe throughout the race. Anytime they checked in with Danielle and the guys in the not the booth, but the table, the whatever you want to call it, and it's just I don't know, something about it felt like it was fun, and it does not feel fun anymore.
I agree, 100%. Yeah, kind of just they lost everything. They have a post race show on TNT. I don't know. I can't watch it.
I was watching it today, actually.
Is it any good?
It's,
or is it?
I mean, I think it's about the same as Prime's, to be honest. I don't know if there's anything worse or better about it. It was still a good pre-race show. It was still very informative. They did their interviews. They talked about the racing coming up. They talked about the impact of the race and that kind of stuff. Like, I think the post-race show is actually pretty good. They got Shannon and Parker and Jamie on it, so it was overall pretty decent. There was one point, so I was going to bring this up, and I guess you didn't see it. There was one point where they went to the booth to do their wrapping up after the race or whatever, and Adam and Junior were making a big deal about Shane winning in the playoffs and looking to the playoffs and like, is it deserving and yada yada yada. And Steve was like, I think we should stop talking about playoffs with every driver that wins, and we should stop looking big picture and look smaller picture and just be like, he deserved to win because he was the best driver that day. We should do that every week.
That's a great point.
We talked about he was the best driver of the day. It doesn't always have to be, well, playoffs. Does he deserve to be in it? Blah. No, he deserved to win that race. He was the best driver of that race. Obviously, it's not every week. We have these super speedway races and things like that where not always the best driver wins, but I kind of agree with him that we don't need to immediately jump to the gun of that's this
Yeah,
guy
because
at
that's all we
30th in
do.
points won, this guy 25th in points won, which I agree. You and I even do this. We
Oh,
both do this
100%.
too. We're like, oh, Harrison Burton won last year, and it got a really nice cool. And it's a really nice call, and it's a really cool story. But he's in the playoffs. Oh my god! It. To be fair, it's hard to look at a win and not do that because of this stupid ass format.
By the way, Shane Van Gisbergen now up to 27th in the points. Just want to point that
Yeah.
out. He's continuing.
He's up inside the top 30 now. He's closing in on the top 25.
1 point in front of Daniel Suarez. His first full-time Cup season, he's beaten Suarez. Boy.
When you get 2 wins, that'll catapult you a lot from the lower part of the standings.
He's starting to run better than him on an oval.
That is true.
Outside of Pocono, Suarez was the best trackhouse car in Pocono, and then got fired. But
we hadn't brought that up. How do you feel?
It is what it is. Everybody knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was either this year or next year. Felt whenever they wanted to move up Zilich, which I think is still too early. I don't care how mature. I don't care how mature he is. He is unbelievably mature for his age. He is very well respected, super talented. But man, I'm just like, one more year. We saw those Joey Logano. Joey Logano was lighting the world on fire. They moved him up too soon. We saw what happened. Ty Gibbs. I'm like, please.
Cole Custer.
Do the kid a favor. He's super young.
Briscoe.
Give him time. But it's
some
obvious.
of those names I named are doing fine now in the Cup Series, but they still struggled when they got there.
I mean, Zilich could be fine. Next year, you never know. But I do think like just 1 year extra in Xfinity would be crucial to build on.
Just short thing. I think the one advantage that Zilich has is we have seen him run in the Cup Series on road courses already, and that talent transfers. He can run on road courses, and he can run well on road courses. And there's going to be at least 5 of them, if not 6, if not 7 on the schedule. And if they're wanting playoffs, well, he can potentially put you in a spot to win at a road course if SVG has something go wrong, I guess. The talent is there, and he'll get to build on it at the Cup level, I guess.
I think speaking of Zilich is a good segue to bring up just the Xfinity portion. And I just wanted to say as well, like, I think, one thing I'm noticing about Zilich, that I haven't seen with, say, other prospects coming up, even like a Ty Gibbs or anything, is he's getting, in his first half a season, he's getting a lot of, like, learning lessons right off the bat,
Yeah, he's not just dominating every single race.
He's had to, Coda, he had to come through the field, he manage his car, made some mistakes, owned up to it, still was able to get the win. Mexico, he learned the consequences that come up with making some really aggressive moves. It was yesterday. I thought yesterday people had made a big deal out of SVG using him up in turn 1. I thought for Connor Zilich, long term, I would be so thankful for that. You just learned how rough you're going to have to be to win races in NASCAR in the top level.
Yeah,
people use you up, and that was clean. I mean, he didn't go and junk him. No, absolutely not.
That just goes to show you that SVG in his short time in NASCAR has learned what it takes to win in NASCAR.
He's been used up a lot.
Who, when he first came over here, he would not have made a move like that. He would not have roughed somebody up and used somebody up like that because that's just not the way he drove. But obviously he's learned he can do that here, and he almost kind of has to. And that was a moment of Zilich learning that, okay, it doesn't matter who I'm racing. If it's a teammate, if it's my best friend, we're all competing for the same win, and they're not going to cut me any breaks, so I don't need to cut them any breaks. In that moment, he was probably like, we're teammates. I'm going to cut him a break. Surely he's going to cut me one. We'll race on, in turn 2, 3, 4, whatever. And he learned quickly that that's not the case, and he's going to have to take advantage just like they'll take advantage of him.
You look at SVG, like, he gets a lot less respect from pretty well everybody. Fans. He gets less respect from the drivers. He has to show right immediately, and he has done it. He's got to show that, hey, like, okay, I clearly have less respect coming from the background that I have. Like, he's got to show that, hey, you're not going to push me around. I'm going to be the guy that if you just shove me, I'm going to come shoving back. And then, he did that in Xfinity. You think about Austin Hill. I don't think there's anybody that stood up to Austin Hill. Shane Van Gisbergen comes in and was not afraid at all to give it back to him. And we see he is very willing to get the elbows up.
Over to him.
Yeah,
and it's quite interesting how they all just do that every year, no matter the roster of the Xfinity Series. They all just kind of roll over and bow down to King Austin Hill, which it makes no fucking sense.
He was in the Cup race today.
Dickhead. Yeah, he was. He finished like 8th or something.
Yeah, he actually did like fairly decent.
Well, he stayed alive and
he finished
well because of
decent.
Probably new tires and because others killed themselves. But yeah, and back to the point about Zilich learning in Xfinity, and we've heard other drivers talk about it before, and in other sports too. When you come up to the professional level, you got to start learning how to lose. Because oftentimes these guys that are so good when they're young, they're racing against other kids who are just racing to race because they want to and their parents have the money for it and whatever. And you're not always racing against the most talented people. So you're going to win every week and you get used to winning and you get used to dominating and doing all this stuff. And, same thing with football and baseball and whatever at the lower levels. And then you get up to the more professional levels. And then now you're against the best of the best. Now you're against the others who do have the talent for it. And you go from winning every week to winning every couple of weeks, and then you get to the Cup Series and never winning. And so for Zilich, I think it's been good for him to not be leading and winning and dominating a lot this season, because he is quickly learning how to lose. He's quickly learning that even though he is talented and good, these others are also very talented and good, and these teams are skilled, and the cars matter, and all that stuff. And I think he's learning very quickly that it is a game of learning how to lose and learning from it and moving on and just developing further. And I think that's something that, we've complained for years about the Cup guys going down to Xfinity and dominating Xfinity in trucks, and it's boring and whatever. Now we don't have Cup guys doing that very much. And so we have seen the ages of Noah Gragson and Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe, and the list goes on and on and on, of the up and coming guys dominating those series. And they get to Cup and they really, really, really struggle. And I think it's because they haven't had much ass whipping every single week. They haven't gotten killed by the Cup Series.
You don't see how good you got to be.
Like they used to. And yeah, and you used to, in the mid 2000s, Xfinity guys that were up and coming would experience that every week. They knew what to expect going into the Cup Series. So I think that's also just, unfortunately, as annoying as it can be for a fan watching Kyle Busch win 15 times and then watching Kevin Harvick win the other 10 times of that season. I think it's good for the drivers, and it's something that I wouldn't mind seeing the drivers get a bit more leeway with doing the lower series races.
Yeah, let them do more, like 10 races. I'd be down for that. Do we have anything else to go on about from this weekend?
Formula One, if you want to touch on it.
Formula One, we can touch on it. We had the British Grand Prix, this morning. And that was a good race too, actually. You got to say that was a fun one to watch. Rain spiced it up
because of the rain.
As well, you had a controversial penalty with Oscar Piastri.
I still don't know.
Which gifted Lando the win. Well, talk about NASCAR being inconsistent. George Russell did the same thing. No penalty, wins the race. Oscar Piastri does it. 10-second penalty, loses the race because of it. The big talking point, though, I mean, Nico Hulkenberg.
I'm guessing optics are the reason for that one, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, definitely, but
because it's in the spray, it's in the wet, and even though they're the same action, it's because of the spray and the wetness, you were causing a hazard, so a penalty, whatever.
Hulkenberg podium, first time ever.
Yeah,
that was cool.
239 races, I think it was.
I think it was
230 something. I think.
I remember watching the 2019 German Grand Prix, that whole rain fest there, where it went like rain, dry again, and he was in position.
That was the one where Vettel choked a couple of times, wasn't it?
No, that was one where he drove through the field from the back.
No,
it was the one where Mercedes,
where it was wet.
That was 2018.
He was like,
we don't talk about that. This is the one where Mercedes, where both Hamilton and Bottas wrecked themselves out. So, but Nico Hulkenberg, I remember watching the 2019 German Grand Prix. And Nico Hulkenberg, the whole talk about him at that point hadn't even had scored a podium in his Formula One career by that point. And to see him, all these years later, he loses his ride in Formula One and he's out for a bit. He comes back and he eventually gets into the position he was in today to finally, score a podium and hold off, Lewis Hamilton. I mean, he didn't really have to defend over Hamilton, but just overall, super cool to see Piastri, Hulkenberg to finally score that podium that was really long awaited. Jay's back. And I was just glazing Nico Hulkenberg while you were on the phone. So, did you have anything else to add about that or about F1?
I don't remember what I specifically said already, but I don't think there's a whole lot. Cool for Nico. I'm sure you said it already. Cool for Nico to get the podium after that many races. It was interesting to see Verstappen struggle so much.
Yeah.
It was also interesting to see how not dry the track, or not wet the track was, but yet it still didn't seem to take the slicks very well. And of course, Ferrari completely fumbled the strategy there with Leclerc.
Yep.
Aston Martin almost pulled off a goated strategy with Stroll, which, I mean, he didn't finish podium like he had a chance to at one point, but he still finished better than he was running. I think it was like 5th or 4th or something like that. It was somewhere that was better than he was before. Also, as much as I will yell at the FIA for being stupid for throwing safety cars, man, when they went back racing and it was like super duper wet and there was a ton of spray, and I think that was where was it Hadjar or who was it that wrecked?
Hadjar, yeah, and the
right
spray.
Right after that restart, yeah, Hadjar, yeah, like that spray was nuts.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that he could not see, or I'm not surprised he could not see, because that was a lot of spray.
Visibility was no good.
Yeah.
But it's still a good race.
I think I got nothing.
Yeah, I think that takes us to the end of where we do our picks then. And Jay and I didn't pick for this week because obviously we forgot to do the podcast. We genuinely just straight up forgot to do the podcast last week. There's no other reason. We just forgot. So the last race we did was Atlanta and F1 in Austria, but I don't think F1's racing next week. So
no, they're off until Spa at the end of the month, I think.
There we go. So therefore, we're not going to do any F1 picks. We might be doing 24 hours of Spa.
That decision's got to be made kind of soon because it's next week.
Next weekend? Oh, okay.
And well, I'll have the track or the car, so I got to get to practicing.
I'll let you know within 48 hours.
That's still not much time, but all right.
I'll let you know within 40.
All right,
39.
I can deal with that.
All right, there we go.
Okay, that's better.
NASCAR next week is in Sonoma. The last picks we did were Atlanta. I need to see what series is racing.
I believe just Xfinity and Cup.
Correct. Xfinity and Cup. So
trucks are off for almost
for a while.
Entire month.
They got the F1 summer break.
Jesus.
So Xfinity, or we'll do Cup first. Cup Series. Actually, no, let's do Xfinity. Xfinity in Sonoma. I don't know if they've got like a Suarez who might be.
I don't know what the entry list is for that.
So
one.
We'll just talk about full-time drivers. And in Atlanta, I picked Austin Hill. You picked Jesse Love. So I believe you won that one because Austin Hill, I know, had some issues. And let's see. Jesse Love was P6. Austin Hill 26. So you won Xfinity Atlanta, which means you get to choose first here for Xfinity Sonoma.
All right. I guess it depends. We'll just go full time, I suppose. So of the full time drivers,
who could he go for?
I think I'm gonna go with Connor Zilisch.
Oh, wow. Sheesh.
I know, right?
So you're going to take
really
Zilisch,
stretched out the pick with that one.
I'm going to take I'm going to throw Sheldon Creed into mine. He finished top 3 at Chicago. I'm going to take him for Sonoma.
I don't think he's been traditionally very good at the road courses. I think
some
that
belief.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't want to have belief because I want to win, but
okay, that's fair. Cup Series, you get to pick first again because you had Keselowski in Atlanta. I had Larson. Who do you think is going to win Sonoma in Cup? I would recommend not choosing SVG here, but that's just
I'm not actually.
Okay.
I was not going to pick SVG, but I don't know who I want to pick in his place. Because there's honestly there is a lot of guys outside of SVG. Like it is impressive, and I say impressive. It's not really because they've had to, but it is nice to see how much the Cup Series guys have improved at road courses. It's no longer, hey, we're going to a road course this week. Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Marcos Ambrose, Juan Pablo Montoya. Expect those guys to be running up front. It's now there's like 15 where I'm like, dang, they have a chance to win. I'm not going to go with any Hendrick guys. They've been all pretty rough at the road courses, and especially Kyle Larson's been pretty rough overall the last like 2 months. I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick.
Tyler Reddick, okay. I'm going to take the last year winner. I'm thinking Kyle Larson.
I don't know about that one.
I think he's going to go back to back. That's my pick.
He's been on a complete tumble, whatever you want to call it, over the last 2 months.
He ran horrible today. He ran like 8th all day. It was awful. He did drop though at the end.
For Kyle Larson, that's not great.
That's his best Chicago run.
Yeah, but like overall,
he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
I was thinking if I can pull up a driver's individual like results for the season, and I think the NASCAR app is so terrible, I cannot do that.
No, you cannot.
Jesus Christ.
I know what you mean though. So next week, Sonoma. That'll be probably the most boring road course of the year. Sonoma's never really that.
Oh wait, no, you can. So Kyle Larson, since the beginning of May, Texas 4th, Kansas 1st, North Wilkesboro 21st, Charlotte 37th, Nashville 8th, Michigan 5th, Mexico 36th, Pocono 7th, Atlanta 17th, Chicago 13th. It's been very up and down.
Up and down. That's the way it goes sometimes.
He's been like, he started crashing at Indy, and he's been changed.
He can't stop crashing. He lost his confidence. He lost the mojo. He lost his talent.
Best driver in the world, by the way.
Best driver in the world. The other best driver in the world wrecked himself today too, Max Verstappen.
He did. Yeah. But that's because that car is a boat.
Now, what if Larson's car is a boat?
Well, okay. There is a genuine, like, Red Bull's not the best car. I don't know if you can argue that Hendrick is
the 5th best team at best. On a good day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In a almost spec series, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Anyways, that's going to wrap it up. We'll be back from Sonoma in a week from now. And, we'll see who comes out on top. And hopefully we got some talking points out of, like I said, don't think it's going to be particularly a great race. But you never know. Could be some chaos mixed in. We'll see what happens. But that's going to wrap it up for Mr. Cook and myself. And we'll see you guys following Sonoma. Thank you for listening as usual. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day.